Welcome into the show, everybody. It is Tuesday, April 27th, 2021, episode 163 for Amalgamation Nation, the AM Nation pod. It's Tuesday, so we're going to be doing Sports Talk Tuesday, of course. Got a lot of sports news to get into, including the NHL and Turner Sports new deal. BK taking us to the pitch. We got the Wizards are doing hot. Steph Curry is playing out of his mind. We got, of course, White Sox, Cubs, and O's recap. Some other news, including Nevada making a ton of money on sports gambling during the month of March. And an NFL draft preview. As always, you can listen to all of our shows by following us on your podcast platform of choice, such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. Just search Amalgamation Nation. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram. It's at AmNationPod. Make sure you hit the follow button on both of those. On YouTube, search Amalgamation Nation and hit that sub button. If you want to be a part of any of the shows by leaving a question or a comment, you can do that by texting or leaving a voicemail at 815-556-9089. And then we stream usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, either on our Twitter, on our YouTube, or on twitch.tv/UndeadBlackBull. I have to get used to that. It's going to take me a hot minute, David, but I got it in there, so I didn't screw it up. I was like, if I do this, I'm going to do this wrong. So yes, Undead Black Bull. Make sure you follow him on there and give him a sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub a month, so give it to Undead Black Bull. I like how it comes off the tongue better, too, man. This is great. And David as well, because you've been busy with work, right? So you haven't been able to be on, the last couple of shows and stuff. You've been busy, but you do have something very special that we're doing to do the entire month of May. It begins tonight. So why don't you tell the people about that?
So, I guess the main thing is if you want to see Ryan get hit with a pie in the face, that seems to be the biggest thing on Twitter. We are raising money for St. Jude, which we've done in the past. We raised $100 last time we've done this. So this time our goal is $500. And that's when Ryan gets hit with a pie in the face. And I will also get hit with a pie in the face. I'm not going to let him do it by himself. Hopefully that doesn't happen today because I don't have anything to get hit with a pie in the face right now.
No, I'm not prepared for that. No.
But it is possible. But we are doing that again. And we also try to have to be children friendly during our streams now going forward. So we'll see how that goes. And then of course I'm going to do a bunch of different things. St. Jude sent me a bunch of stuff. So this time around, they have an artist, one of their patients, Ethan. It is the Fever Fighter. I hear you guys go. It's kind of shiny.
Oh, yeah. I could see it. Yep.
This is his drawing. So they sent me a whole bunch of stuff for him about that. Awesome. They gave me a pin for it. And then I also got Bean Boozles, which is nasty jelly beans.
They could be delicious as well.
It's possible. But reading the back of them, I'm going to go with a no. Oh, maybe. I see toasted marshmallow. I guess that must be somewhat decent. But I got toothpaste flavor. I got barf, booger, spoiled milk, and coconut. I guess coconut. Well, coconut and spoiled milk. Okay, I see how it goes. So each color has a good one and a bad one.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have a chance. All right.
Yeah.
So
don't be like Slaps Nugget. He grabbed a whole plate of them, got them all bad ones. So don't be like Slaps Nugget.
I'm gonna say first of all, jelly beans are disgusting to begin with, in my opinion. But it depends. I've had some okay ones.
I do love Starburst jelly beans very much.
Appreciate the subscription. Oh man, my fucking sound alerts aren't working. I just noticed that. Well, at least for me. It may be working on the stream. Well, that's another thing that's probably busted. I gotta figure out. I appreciate the I'll figure it out. But that's what we're doing all month, and I'll kick it back to you, Mr. Green Machine.
Of course. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we'll post that on our Twitter, the link to donate. I will be on at AM Nation Pod on Twitter. I'm sure David will have it as well. That's at Undead Black Bull. Make sure you go on there. Yeah, everybody was talking a lot of stuff about putting Ryan getting a pie in his face. So if you want to do it, you better hit $500, and then we'll do a pie in the face. I ain't cheap, all right? Putting a pie in this face. I ain't cheap. Do it for the kids. Think of the kids. That's all I heard. That's all I heard the whole time from everybody. Ryan, think of the kids. Think of the kids, Ryan. All right, well, think of the kids and make sure you donate right there to support St. Jude's Children's Hospital. That is fantastic. Now, also joining us this evening from North Carolina, Brendan BK Ketterly. BK, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Doing good. A lot of yard work. I was cutting down some tree limbs over the weekend. Got a nice pole saw. That was fun.
Ooh.
Been doing a lot of real life pressure washing here the past couple days. It's really tiring. Done one side of the garage and the gutters, another side of the part of the house, and now I'm doing the driveway and steps up, and it's gonna be a long task. It's gonna take days. It's gonna take the rest of the week.
At least you had a good, fun weekend of movies as well.
It was so good.
So good.
It's
Mortal
so
Kombat
good.
and Demon Slayer. So good. Fantastic.
Yeah, but we'll talk about those and maybe our reviews on a later podcast. I don't know. Stay tuned.
Could be. Also, for people that are kind of confused, like, what does he mean by real power watching? If you listen to our gaming episode, you will understand why he meant power watching IRL. So go ahead and check that out. Also, rounding out the crew this evening, Petey Tahiti Argus. Pete, how are you, bud?
I'm doing well, man. Cleveland got a little bit of a feel of summer today.
Same.
80s. It was pretty awesome. Rest of the week, not really looking so great. But hey, we had a summer day. Had a summer day in Cleveland. It's all good. Doing well, man. Positive vibes. Positive
You
vibes.
deserve it. You deserve it, you winner.
Yeah, way to go, winner.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it, guys. Needed that.
Of course, there it is. Let's start with some NHL talk. Sad news here for the Blackhawks. Andrew Shaw retires due to concussions. Andrew Shaw, always someone fun to watch, right? You liked the grittiness that he brought each and every game. I know in his farewell video, he talked about how his very first NHL game, he got into a fight. He also scored a goal later in that game, too. And it was against the Flyers, so that's always feels real good, too. So that's sad to see Andrew Shaw retire. In the Caps, on the more positive note there for BK, they look to sweep their recent 3-game slate with division rival the Islanders tonight. The Caps won the first game 1-0 in a shootout and took game 2 6-3. The Caps currently sit at second in the East with 66 points. That is just one behind the Penguins, so that's pretty dope as well.
They're up 1-0 in the third with 45 seconds left.
Ooh, there we go. Looking to sweep the Islanders right there. And then when there it is. And then when I thought the NHL was going to have no more news for us and I could just skip on by, they decided to make a deal with Turner Sports. They reached a 7-year rights agreement that will have a regular season, Winter Classic, Stanley Cup playoffs, and Stanley Cup final games televised on TNT and TBS starting next season. The NBC has been the NHL right partner for the last 10 years, but that ends after this year. And it looks like they will be joining ESPN because we did report of we talked about it, about a month ago maybe, that ESPN is bringing the NHL back to their stations as well, which is great too. I mean, that's all good stuff. I just, it's going to be I think they got it every other year. The Winter Classic is always going to be on Turner Sports, but I think the Stanley Cup, it's going to be the Stanley Cup Finals is 3 out of the next 5 years or something like that. Because I'm assuming ABC picks up the other 2 maybe. That'll be interesting to see. But I always like when sports get kind of thrown around. And that to me, I like when it gets kind of mixed up because you get into this pace where it's oh yeah, I expect this every single time. Okay, yeah, my NHL is going to be on NBC Sports, and they kind of done an all right job with it anyway. So now to get it all mixed up, that's always good. I like that it gets it going. The only thing that I don't like when it gets mixed up is football. I like my football to stay on the same networks. Just keep that consistent. Although I'm all for Monday Night Football games on ABC, all for it. It's fantastic. It's like the old days. It's like the good times. I love it. Anybody have anything on the NHL going with Turner Sports here and basically completely dipping from NBC?
I just have a point here. I think it's great for the NHL. I mean, it's from the perspective. I mean, it's not to the standpoint of March Madness. As soon as March Madness put it on Turner Sports, where it was on TNT, on True TV, TBS, that was fantastic because you could watch every game. And I think this is smart for the NHL because I think we can all agree the NHL playoffs are just so fantastic to watch. And there's always some games in the first round that are on some network that no one sees, but it might be some great game. So having this opportunity to be on more games instead of just on NBC Sports, I think this can be awesome. So I mean, this is a total win for the NHL. Put put as much of your good product out there as possible. So I think this is a total win.
Yeah, well, not to mention, I think NBC's done a pretty shit job. I mean, we've talked about this before with the Peacock rollout, just not highlighting the Premier League and then not highlighting the hockey that is available on Peacock, like what's available on Peacock, what's just available on NBC Sports in general. So it will be exciting to see it change hands, and gonna love to have more Barry Melrose on ESPN. Let's just that's just gonna be a treat, and John Butchergross as well. Just a treat.
David, do you feel, I guess with the NHL moving homes?
I think we talked about that in the past, right? When it broke news, and we said it was probably a good thing for the NHL to be on ESPN moving forward. So for them, I think overall it's better to get away from NBC.
Oh yeah,
but we'll see how it goes.
I think so. I think they'll do a good job here, and also to point out, Turner Sports just needs NFL games, and they're like the Thanos. They'd have them all, just so you know. They're getting real close. And also, I just wanted to clarify a little bit of things too. So the Stanley Cup Finals for the 3 of the next 7 seasons will be on TNT, right there. Half of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the next 7 seasons will also be on TNT, and every Winter Classic for the next 7 years is on TNT. On top of this deal, they also got live streaming and simulcast rights on HBO Max, digital and highlight report rights on Bleacher Report, and Bleacher Report digital experience and events for the next generation of hockey fans. So a lot was put into that deal. That's going to be really cool. I like that HBO Max is getting involved too. You're seeing that with these bigger companies, right? When ESPN talked with the NHL, it was all about getting it with Disney Plus and Hulu. You talked about Peacock, and then like the Champions League is on Paramount Plus. So it's like everything's all over the place. You're seeing a lot of these go more towards streaming. I think David and myself were talking about it, where now ESPN Plus games, like if you have ESPN Plus, it's just on your Hulu now. You don't have to actually open up ESPN. Those games are just right on your Hulu, so you can just watch them. You don't even need Hulu Live to do it. They're just included with it. So
nice.
Yeah, every time I'm watching Hulu, I see like random games like, hey, want to watch this MLB game? Like, not really, because it's probably like Pittsburgh versus Colorado.
Oh, wow.
That's usually what it is, but no.
Oh.
It's like, no, I don't want to watch
that. Can't wait. Now, I will say, last week, we talked a lot about the Super League. Really, the whole show, I would say, for the most part, was about Super League. BK did a great job. And apparently, the people of AM Nation loved it so much that it is our most listened to sports show. So, hats off to that. Hats off to BK doing a great job. And because of that, I'm going to hold off on the pitch for a second, and I'm going to get the NBA out of the way, because I think the pitch deserves a brighter spot. If that's what people are digging, it needs a little bit of a brighter spot. So I'll jump into the NBA first. Let's do it. Getting hardwood with Ryan. That's a good one. That's a good pun. I dig it. Shockingly, the Washington Wizards have won 8 straight, but they did lose to the Spurs in OT last night. That's their longest in franchise history since Jordan's second comeback attempt in 2001. So, yeah, being a Wizards fan has been rough. I had to change part of that because I can't. I got to do it for the kids.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Well, see, I made the notes.
I know.
With curse, with poo-poo words. Because, we usually do poo-poo words. So,
I caught myself. I was ready. To let it rip. And I was like, ooh, no. Ooh, pull it back, right. Ooh, pull it back. BK, your thoughts here on the Wizards as now they're locked into that spot right now for the play-in tournament.
Yeah, they're in that funky play-in tournament, and I don't know. I just don't really care. The team's just not. They're not good. They're really bad. It's just it's Bradley Beal, who's now back ahead of Steph Curry again in points per game average. So whoop whoop, and then Russell Westbrook, who has played well. Had a lot of triple doubles, shot under 35% last night, but let's not talk about it. Throws up plenty of bricks to build my house. Had 6 of the team's 8 turnovers. Just pointing out facts. No, but he has played great. He's done well. And Bradley Beal actually came out today. I think it was on The Jump. He was on The Jump and he was praising Russell Westbrook. And so and as much shit as I do give Russell Westbrook, he does go out there and he does play hard. So I'm never gonna take that from him. Like the guy will give you like just 110%. He's very like Jordan from like the 90s and that, like we said, like Jordan didn't really take days off. He didn't have like rest days and all that. I would consider Westbrook in the same vein. Like he's gonna play hard night in and night out. Yeah. And so I can definitely respect the hell out of that. And people giving him a hard time about that is, I mean, that's just, I don't think that's very fair or warranted.
No, I mean, he got 21 boards the other night as a point guard. So like, absolute puts in the work. But yeah, his shot percentage does suck at times. That's rough. Steph Curry, on the other hand, can shoot. He has set an NBA record with 85 made threes in a single calendar month. The previous record holder was James Harden with 82 back in 2019 with the Rockets. Curry does have 2 more games, including tonight against the Mavericks, to extend the record to an even just unbelievable level. How many does he end the month with as a question/shot bet? 100.
You're saying 100?
He needs 15 more. 100.
He's got 7.5.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Man, Ryan, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say right at 100. Right at 100.
So why don't we do like a joint shot bet where you guys are betting 100? I'll bet the under. I'll bet under. And so then if he goes under, you guys have to take a shot. If he gets 100 or above, you guys take a shot.
No, you take a shot.
Yeah.
Did I get that backwards? Okay, yeah. You know what I meant.
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
I know what you meant.
Yeah,
I mean,
100 under, y'all take it. 100 above, I take it. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, BK. We want to cheer for basketball. Whatever. Sorry, I want to cheer for greatness.
I don't want to put on him to hit seven threes over the next 2, like in each game. Like that's nuts. I think he's averaging around 5 a game, if I remember vaguely correctly.
So it's not that bad. Just make a couple more.
Yeah.
Have you seen him shoot?
Oh yeah, I mean the man hits him from 40 feet. And you're just like, it's like just pull him from half court all the time. Like don't even bring it up half court. Just like get there, and you're just like, huh.
Do you? So you're taking the under on our 100, David. Do you have a number, or would you like to go under or above us?
I think it's going. I would definitely take the over on the 100. All he has to do is make 15 threes in 2 games.
Y'all been hanging out with Chris Sims too much. Y'all been sitting there.
We're gonna get to that in the draft talk because I did watch his whole entire mock draft today because I was like I need to feel the process. But sorry, I digress. David, so you're taking over 100.
Yeah, I take it over.
Love it.
This
Love
is
it.
fantastic. This is good basketball, baby. This is what I love to see. They are also the Golden State Warriors are the first professional sports team to start an NFT collection. Because I can't use colorful language, I'm not gonna get into what NFTs are and my feelings on NFTs. But let's just say they're real dumb. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. They're just dumb, and I don't like them. Durant and Mike Connolly joined Kobe as Oscar winners. They were executive producers on Two Distant Strangers, and it won Best Short Film. So, awesome for Kevin Durant and Mike Connolly. Mostly for Connolly. Kevin Durant's fine, but mostly for Mike Connolly, who just hasn't been able to win anything. So, shout out to him for that. At least he got that under there. In fantasy basketball playoffs, yes, we did do one of those many, many months ago, and the playoffs have started. PDT takes the 1 seed and a bye into the playoff, as well as Dalton. He is the 2nd seed, and he also has a bye. Pete will face the winner of myself and BK in the 4-5 matchup. And then Dalton will take on the winner of David and Tim in the 3-6 matchup. So as of right now, I know David's up and BK's up. So there it is. Will BK face Pete?
I should look up my team. Got it.
Yep. That's what I did. And it didn't help. Didn't help because my whole bench is hurt. So I was like, oop. All right.
Yeah, it is.
He's like, yeah.
My whole team is hurt too. So I'm probably out.
Yeah, it's not good.
So I just looked up real quick for Steph Curry. I just looked up. So they play the Mavericks tonight at home. Guess what? Next game at Minnesota. You serious? Team's a joke. Team's a joke. He's putting up at least 10. He's putting up at least 10. Let's go.
I looked at he's averaging just over 5 made threes a game on like 12 attempts. So if he's making 10, I don't see him making 10 out of 12. I'm just gonna throw that out there. He's gonna have to at least shoot
10 out of 15.
Yeah, like I'll say at least 15, if not like 17.
Oh yeah. I like it even better now.
He's already made 2 tonight. He's already made
Let's
2
go.
tonight.
Already made 2. What quarter are they in? First, second?
I believe they're in the first. Yes, they are. 5 to go in the first.
No, he's got to hit 5.5 more.
Let's go.
Stud, absolute stud. Okay, let's do PDTD. Take us around the diamond.
Oh yeah, gladly, Ryan. So we'll just start off for baseball. Yeah, usually it's negative, so I mean we'll start off with kind of a positive. So Madison Bumgarner this past weekend threw a 7-inning no-hitter, which is great. Obviously, 7 innings. We're playing the traditional double headers, whatever. They're only going to be 7 innings. So MLB actually is not counting this as a no-hitter, even though Mad Bum went 7 shutout, no hits allowed. MLB's not going to count it. I'm going to start with you, BK. Should this actually be counted as a no-hitter?
Abso-freaking-lutely. I mean, it's he's not determining the length of the game, and to where I also think of it as, and I don't know the actual MLB rulebook in this scenario, but like when I was working for the Orioles, a game was called after the 7th inning because it was a rain out between the Orioles and the Yankees. It was just called because they couldn't really make it up in the rest of the calendar, so they just we're just gonna call it after 7 innings, and the O's actually got the win. Like the game's over, it counts as a win. It is a no-hitter. I think part of the reason why the MLB doesn't want to consider it is because the MLB unjuiced the balls. Now they're afraid that they unjuiced the balls too much, and they don't want to have 3 no-hitters before May. That's what it is. There's a lot of pine tar and whatever substances on the baseball that Trevor Bauer tried to tell us about. The MLB just wants to turn a blind eye. Now no one can hit anything unless they're named Ronald Acuna Jr. and Tatis Jr. If you got Jr.
Stud.
after your last name, stud.
All right, David. What do you think?
I'm gonna go. Should count as a no hitter. I don't see why not. It's not his control that you made the game 7 innings. So
yeah,
I would.
I think 100%. I mean, Ryan, what do you think?
So I have to get used to again because David's back on until I read the Twitch chat. So Cajun Vixen making fun of me because I was trying to change my channel. I want to put on the Warriors game, and Sling isn't working. That's
what we gets it. I was like, he's probably put on the Warriors game,
or
he's put it on the Sox game. So
no, definitely put on the Warriors game, and it wasn't working. And then because the way my TV settings are when I'm on stream, it's super bright, so you can't see what's actually going on the TV. So I was trying to update the setting and it jacked it up. Anyway, sorry. Massive Bumgarner, definitely should be given the credit of the no hitter. It's like everybody said. I mean, listen, this is MLB's rule. Might as well give it to him. It's not his fault. That's it's ridiculous. But hats off to Mad Bum, dude. Guy's actually absolute stud.
Oh yeah, and then for him to do that against, I mean, I know Atlanta's been up and down this year, but for him to do it against Atlanta lineup, that's super impressive. Yeah, I mean, if MLB is gonna make, I mean, we've already talked about it, but I mean, if MLB is gonna make a 7-inning game and count it as a win and strategically do this, how would you not count this as a no-hitter? Yeah, just doesn't make sense. I don't know how the argument is against it, but hey, it's Rob Manfred, so it makes sense, from that perspective. So, but positive note for baseball this weekend, we had Dodgers-Padres, who a lot of people think is probably going to be the NLCS. Great series for baseball. Tatis went off this series. Dodgers looked great, too. On Sunday, the Padres overcame a 6-run deficit to beat LA in the 11th inning. You know what this isn't talked about? Shout out to Booj Sciambi for calling the game there on Sunday night. Saturday was calling the game for the Cubs. Flies out to LA, calls that game, and then guess what? Next day, we're in Atlanta. So shout out to Booj for the amount of travel that he had to do going from Chicago, LA, back east to Georgia for the game. So shout out to him. But all the banter that was back and forth between Bauer, Tatis hit a homer, basically covering his eye. I mean, it was just fantastic. Ryan, I'll start with you. What do you think of this series between the Dodgers and Padres this weekend?
If the White Sox, like, I didn't feel good about them, I would say, please, baseball, I don't care about AL and NL. Just let this be the World Series. Because, like, these two teams have been absolutely electric. It's fantastic. I love this rivalry. I like that, Trevor Bauer adds such an interesting slice to it because he himself is, that type of, like, I'm going to call it new school baseball mentality where, like, let's just have fun. Let's go out there. That's what this is all about. It's about having fun. He talked about it after the game, like pitchers that after giving up a bomb, they hit somebody. He's like, that's just stupid. There's no reason for it. Like, just go out there and pitch better. And that's always been my mentality too. So I love that. I love this banter they have going back and forth. And Machado's getting involved. And, I know BK gets hyped up if Machado's involved, of course. So I just think, and Fernando Tatis Jr. has this, what I'll say is that he has, not that he's going to have the numbers as this person did, but when it comes to changing baseball and like giving a kind of a spark to baseball, it's that Ken Griffey Jr. factor. Ken Griffey Jr., when he came in and the hat backwards, right? Which, look at it, 3 of us are wearing our hats and we're all wearing them backwards. It's something that Ken Griffey came in and people were just upset. Like, old school baseball fans were so mad. Like, how could he do that? And then watch him be in the home run derby with his hat backwards and just raking it. Like, it's fantastic. So I think Tatis Jr. has that ability to make baseball fun again, and this rivalry just adds to it. It's absolutely electric.
Yeah. No, I think you hit it on the head with Griffey. I mean, he does make baseball fun. David, your thoughts here on the weekend series?
I mean, it was definitely entertaining to watch, especially when you have one of the juniors on your team. So making a comeback, or not really making a comeback, trying to hold the lead, I would say, in our fantasy baseball league.
I don't understand the scoring. I don't get it.
It's pretty easy. It's based off total numbers. That's all. So
it's not working. It's not working for me. Something's wrong.
If you have the total, if your team has the most homers right now, you get 10 points for home runs. If you have the most RBIs by your team, you have 10 points, and it's broken down by 10. So that's the ranking. So if I have 10, I have the most home runs, I get 10 points. You have the least home runs, you have 1 point. So that's for each category.
That makes way more sense.
That's
I was very confused about the scoring too. That makes a lot more sense.
So if you look in your score, so if you go into the app, if you go into standings, you could change the points show to season stats, and then that's the ranking. So whoever has the most runs has 10 points then, or 9 points, or whatever position you're in. If you're tied, then you split it with someone else, and that's where you'll see like the 7.5 for an example.
That's why David can lead all the pitching categories. I see this. I understand this now.
It makes a lot more sense.
But there's a pitching limit though in there. I'm pacing ahead and like game started, which like you need to remove that cap, commish.
Dude, whatever shit. ESPN put, man.
Yeah,
there's a cap for game started.
Yeah, like it's giving me if you're on like a desktop and you scroll down to like the bottom, there's like a little like an exclamation point like like a diamond, and says like, oh, you're pacing ahead of like your limit or whatever.
Oh, I didn't know there was a limit.
I didn't know until I saw it today.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the random peoples that joined our group is gonna be hurt because that dude picks up like pitchers left and right and drops them. Dude had a stack of pitchers. So if there is a limit, maybe that's why there's a limit, because people that do that, they'll pick up random free agents and drop them after their pitch start game and pick up a different free agent to start.
I'll look it up here.
All right. Well, BK, real quick, while you're looking that up, do you have a chance to catch the Padres Dodgers this weekend?
Oh yeah, I had a buddy that came into town, and he's not a huge baseball fan, but like he's originally from the LA area, so like right now like he's super caring about Dodgers baseball. He has a Mookie Betts jersey now, like his first baseball jersey. I'm like, all right, hey, he's a good ball player. I don't think anyone really hates Mookie Betts. But like, yeah, we were,
Yeah.
we're in between going to like the movies and stuff like that. We had the game, listened to it on Sirius XM. Like, I'm falling in love with that now. I see why you fell in love with it when you were down here. It's super great for the MLB talk. And honestly, I feel like Ryan really hit the nail on the head there, where it's like this could be like the rivalry that almost saves baseball. Like this year, it's just so fascinating. Everyone's talking about it. Everybody cares about it. It's just great. Go Padres, go Padres.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah. Well, not to get the show too much off the rails. Was that Dino that came into town this week?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Saw a couple pictures this weekend. Looks like you guys had some fun, so that's good.
Okay. I found the fancy baseball rule. Okay, so your league allows a maximum number of games started at specific positions. This shows how you are currently pacing towards those maximum. Pitchers, 200. Games started 31, remaining 169. I'm projected to finish around 218, plus 18 right now.
Answer here. So I'm looking at the scoring settings right now. That isn't even checked as an option for you to earn points on game started. So
interesting.
It's
maybe it's a limit.
ERA, saves, wins, and Ks.
It's probably just a limit so like you can abuse it.
I'll share my screen.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that I don't even have that linked as a scoring option, so I don't know. I'll have to look into that after the show. I'll look into it more. But of course. Sorry everybody, my bad.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
I'm sure our listeners want to know that. A couple, people might be having fantasy baseball and be like, "Hey, what the heck's up with the scoring?" Just like we were.
With y'all. We're figuring it out.
Exactly.
I'm just dominating in it, but it's okay.
Yeah. Well,
third place.
Well, no, you guys are good. My team stinks. Whatever. We're moving on to 2022 fantasy baseball. But speaking of a guy who doesn't stink, so this past weekend, the White Sox swept the Rangers over the weekend. Michael Kopech, just dominant here, was looking great this weekend. The White Sox have actually won 4 in a row. They have a series tonight starting against Detroit. Ryan, do you have any thoughts here on your White Sox that you'd like to chime in about?
Sure do. I already ordered my Kopech shirt, ready to go. Let's go, baby. Kid's an absolute stud. Never a doubt that he would come back strong after taking another year off after his Tommy John last year. Getting his head right and everything. Appreciate it, and he's done a great job. He's absolutely outstanding. I saw some Cub fans. I'm not gonna name names. They might be on a podcast that I listen to. I'm not gonna name names. They were talking about, because when baseball MLB was like tweeting about Kopech's insane stat line at first before his start, and he's like, well, he's only pitched 5 innings. I'm like, yeah, but he's averaging like almost 3 strikeouts an inning, like almost maxed strikeouts an inning. At that point in time, he was as a reliever, and now he's got a couple starts under his belt, and he's looked dominant. It's fantastic. But at the same time, it's the Rangers, and they're awful. So, like, the White Sox sweeping the Rangers is what your good baseball teams are supposed to do. They're playing Detroit. They start off their homestand tonight against Detroit. I know Cabrera had hit one to start off the game. What a shock. What a shock that Miguel Cabrera absolutely rocks the White Sox. But they are up. The Sox are up in the bottom of the 6th right now, 2-1. That's good. Again, bad team. You're supposed to beat them. The weekend series, though, against Cleveland, that will be a tough one. For whatever reason, we have a hard time with Cleveland. But overall, I feel a lot better where the Sox are at. But the depth is going to get tested. Luis Roberts was put on the IL because of flu-like symptoms. Obviously, we're already without Eloy. So the depth of this team getting tested very early, I think that is where the Sox are going to have to kind of address those needs as we get closer to the trade deadline. I just assume it's going to be depth. You gotta love how the rotation is looked so far, because Giolito, up until tonight, hasn't really pitched that well. Right, his ERA was above 5. It was looking kind of gross. Lance Lynn has been all right. He's been getting it done. Carlos Rodon, we talked about last week, pitching the no. So overall, I feel good with the White Sox. It's early. We're about to hit May. But depth is going to be an issue, and I want to see how they address that.
Yeah. Especially big series here against Cleveland. They probably struggle. The Indians. I feel like the Indians just have just a ton of pitchers. They just, their farm system's usually just riddled with starting pitching, which is just crazy to think about. Yeah. So, but no, we'll transition to BK's O's. Beat the A's here this weekend, ending the 13-game winning streak that the A's have. And here we go, full circle altogether. That was the longest win streak in baseball since the Indians' win streak of 2017. That was 22 games. But BK, your thoughts on your O's so far this year?
I mean, they're another. There's no great players. I like not hating on them, but and they're not like a great team overall. But they go out there and they play hard, and they're going to be competitive. They're not just you're not going to steamroll them, honestly. And shout out to Cedric Mullins. He's not a switch hitter this year. He's only batting from the left hand side. Also, Greensboro, North Carolina native, so that's really cool. He's leading the league in hits. He's doing great when just going left-handed. That John Means, it looks like he's 2019 All-Star John Means. I think he's fourth in ERA right now at 1.5, and he's pitched around 33 innings. Just stud. There are some real bright spots on this team. I'm actually really excited. They just lost tonight to the Yankees 5-1, unfortunately, but they were able to beat the Yankees last night. They're fun to watch. They play really hard for Brandon Hyde, and I just really like it. And hopefully Michael Franco keeps playing well and he can turn into more trade bait to get us more prospects, because we're still building for the future. John Means is 20, he's 27, 28. Cedric Mullins, he's still young, he's only 26. The future is looking good. Future's looking good.
Yeah, I mean the O's are battling, man. You gotta be happy with the projection. Especially beating the Yankees, obviously always good. It's great. America wins when the Yankees lose. So yeah, so that's always good. And then we got to talk about this. We'll talk about the Cubs here. Finishing the weekend, losing 2 of 3 to Milwaukee. They've already played Milwaukee 9 times. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of watching the Brewers. It's so annoying. They dominate us. I'm so sick of it. And that's after they swept the Mets during the week. So if we could play the Mets just every game, that would be great. But David, what do you think about our Cubbies here so far?
Yeah, so I was actually at the game on Tuesday to watch the Mets. That was a nice game to watch. Freezing my butt off, but yeah, it was fun. The Cubs are doing exactly what I kind of expect them to do, just kind of be around 500-ish ball. I wasn't expecting them to be that great because their pitching is exactly what we thought it was. So, no shocker there. Milwaukee hasn't showed me anything that they're that great. They're just playing the Cubs. So, really to be honest, I think the Central is kind of weak now. I know in the past we've always said that the Central looks like it's so dominant. And I finally think that that's kind of switched now over to the West. Is probably the dominant Central or dominant division now. And the Central is kind of we're kind of all just fucking around. Yep, I'll donate. But just
there it is.
Here you go. Just messing around, just being whatever. Slowly, I don't know. They're doing exactly what I expected though. I wasn't doing great, but Contreras and Bryant are doing their things. It's good to see Bryant kind of showing his old MVP self, I guess, per se, which is nice. So if they could keep that up, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's been the one huge bright spot for the Cubs so far. Chris has played fantastic. I guess he's been kind of not feeling great arm-wise last week, probably at the game you were at, David, when he was playing in the outfield, since they're playing winter conditions basically last week. So he's been, kind of day-to-day right now. But, I mean, I think that is the big bright spot for the Cubs is Chris Bryant's been playing great. Maybe they should extend him. Let's just do it. Let's get it done. Javi's striking out, every, second at bat. So that's fine. I mean, that's just normal Javi, but, just even worse. But, yeah, I mean, this is what you kind of expected here from the Cubs. I'm so sick of playing Milwaukee and playing Peralta and Woodruff. I think Brandon Woodruff just waits to pitch just against the Cubs and just dominate us. So, it's just good that they won't see Milwaukee here for a while. But, yeah, the Central's not great. So, the Cubs are going to be in there. They're going to be in there because the Central's not great. I mean, we got Pittsburgh right here that's at 500 and they're in second. Okay, it really doesn't make sense. Does not make sense right now. But another thing that actually doesn't make sense is the Rockies GM, Jeff Bridrich. I'm definitely butchered it, whatever. But he quits just months after trading Nolan Arenado, who arguably is the best Rocky of all time. I know we have Todd Helton up there, obviously. You got Larry Walker. But Arenado is in he's the Mount Rushmore. He's in their probably little Mount Rushmore that Colorado probably has.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to get. I mean, because I know that when this trade went down, we had a lot of talk about this. Ryan, your thoughts on Jeff basically just quitting months after making such a big deal that really kind of forecasts the Rockies, future here.
This feels an awful lot like when I'm in Madden and I need to screw someone over in a trade. So I become the GM of the team that I need to make a trade with. I make an awful trade, very one-sided, right? Like the Bears are getting, we're getting some type of quarterback. We're not getting Patrick Mahomes. I don't go that far. But maybe I'm making the trade for Deshaun Watson before all the allegations, obviously. But I'm making that move, right? And I'm giving up bare minimum picks, No, I'm kidding. I do try to make the picks kind of do. But you know what I'm saying? When you take advantage of a team, that's what that trade felt like to me. I was very upset about it then. I'm very upset about it now. People named Jeff, man. Can't always trust them. And let me tell you, out here, just, man, what an awful trade. And for him just to wipe his hands up and be like, all right, well, I screwed over this organization. See ya. And just to leave. So stupid. It's awful. And I feel bad because I really do I like the Rockies. 1, I like their color scheme. 2, I like their alternate uniforms. They're pretty cool. I also really like their ballpark. But boy, that team suck. And, if you're going to give up a guy that you put on your, the Mount Rushmore of your organization, I assumed you would have got a really good return, and they got a really kind of a joke of a return, obviously, where it looks like on paper. So, guy's a clown. I feel bad for Rocky fans. Y'all didn't deserve that. But I guess, hopefully the next person comes in and can kind of start to clean up the mess.
Yeah, no, and we talked about this pre-show. You might be seeing this team live, here in Pittsburgh. So I'm sure you're hyped about that to see Colorado and see that great baseball team. David, your thoughts on Jeff, just leaving, after making this big deal for Arenado here a few months ago.
Man, I don't know. I wish I could just be like, fuck it, I quit.
There it is. I'm letting David do it, man. I'm letting him. It's his stream.
Yep. I do it. Let me do it. I already got it up for $20, so I got 2 more to go. So I don't know. It must be nice, right? Be in that area to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna quit because I'm horrible at my job.
Yeah, I'm out.
Instead of just be like, nah, I'm just gonna chill, wait till the trade deadline, and just give stories away for nothing. Or something, because that's probably the next best player on their team. So, but yeah, that's rough. So
yeah,
good thing I'm not a Rockies fan.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough. I mean, Ryan touched upon it. The only thing you can cheer for right now is that color scheme, and those cool jerseys. It's really about it. You got to feel bad for Trevor's Story. It just seems like, his days are probably numbered. There in Colorado. But BK, you have any other initial thoughts here on this?
Stepping away from his job, we always said we could do that. But maybe I guess trying to look out for the GM. Maybe he was like, all right, I'm not. Maybe he was doing the Roy Williams. I'm not the right man for the job anymore, and he's stepping away. Maybe that's assuming a lot of nice things. Not comparing what this guy's accomplished in his career to Roy Williams, who's
seems like you are. Seems like you are.
I guess I'm trying to be nice to him, even though he had a horrible trade. Here's the silver lining for Rockies fans. Thankfully, he did step away before the trade deadline, so the next guy or gal that comes in and trades Trevor Story will actually get a good ROI. You'll get a good return on investment there. So, that's the good thing about this guy leaving.
Very good point.
Is that when you trade Trevor Story later, in theory, assuming the next person is better. It's not very hard based on what they got back for the Arenado trade. So there's that. So that's the silver lining for Rockies fans, is that someone new is going to come in and you're going to get more for Trevor's Story.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point. Because it is going to come deadline time, and I think we can all agree that Colorado is going to be sellers. So yeah, to have a competent guy, as your GM would probably be helpful. When it comes to July time.
So Frank in chat knows our history with MLB and our news, and he said, well, maybe some sexual allegations are coming.
That
So-
would be
Oh,
basically.
Good
Oh
call.
man,
Cheers to you, Frank. Good call.
man. All right, and then to wrap up baseball here, we have MLB would consider expansion fees in the range of 2.2 billion, even though there are no plans to add teams.
He's a liar.
Which is kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, well, the thing that I don't understand is I know I might have said this on the show. If not, I've said this like the last few weeks about possibly the Indians moving. Because their deal's up 2023, 2024, I think, at Progressive. Like, why doesn't anyone ever talk about Oakland leaving? They play at a football field. Like, why does no one ever bring that up? I just think that should be brought up. Why is Oakland never? Because there were supposed to be talks about a new stadium, and it's just I don't know. When I saw this in the notes, that's just my immediate thought was I don't know, why doesn't Oakland ever get talked about? But
it's a good point.
Yeah.
I think that for Manfred,
technically it's their own stadium now, right? They don't share it no more.
technically.
yeah, but it's a football field. The dimensions, everything's weird. The way they have it set up just doesn't make sense. Yeah.
The whole thing with Oakland, right? And when the Raiders weren't going to get a new stadium, they weren't going to fund it. I think the A's at that point should have known. They're
Yeah.
We're definitely not getting a brand new stadium anytime soon. That is a good point on why they don't ever get talked about. I just think my biggest thing here with Rob Manfred is to say, oh, there's no plans for expansion teams. All right. Really? I think that every league right now, well, the NHL already acted on it, obviously, with the Seattle Kraken. Let's get it cracking, you know what I'm saying? But I think that...
Nice.
Oh, thank you. I do think that there are each league of the other major leagues, right? The NBA, the baseball, and the NFL, all of them are currently sitting there thinking, okay, all right, let's see, can we, do we have, is there kind of they're feeling out process of an expansion, because the hip, cool thing to do if you're super rich is buy a sports team, or at least get involved in one. Look at Patrick Mahomes,
yeah.
right? Get involved, get out there, go get a baseball team. So,
Yep.
I think expansions are coming, and I can't wait because I love expansions. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
If the Indians leave, that won't be cool. But yeah.
Well, that wouldn't be an expansion though. So that would be. It's not like there would have to be a 2.2 billion fee in that case. There probably is a relocation fee. I would imagine whenever you get up and leave, there's probably something, but it wouldn't be 2.2 bill.
Yeah. But no, that wraps it up here for baseball. What are we thinking? We kicking it over to BK for the pitch, or is that the next thing that we should do? Or
well, let's see, BK, how do you feel? Do you want to go pitch, or do you want to do miscellaneous?
I'm down to clown. I'm down for whatever.
All right, he's down with the clown. We're gonna miscellaneous it up. But first, I just want to point out in the Twitch chat, Cajun Vixens asked if there was softball, and David must have told her no. And she's a little upset. And I will say this: on a previous episode, we did talk about Hope Trotwin, the North Texas softball pitcher, who she struck out the entire team to pitch a perfect game, which was fantastic. We did talk about her a couple weeks ago. So when it comes up, we do talk about softball. But yeah, let's get to some miscellaneous stuff here, and then we'll kick it to the pitch. Peacock, right? You probably have used that app at some point in time because you want to watch The Office. But it will feature 4 free shows during the Tokyo Olympics. Now, when I read the free part just now in my head, does that mean that we could just have Peacock? You don't have to pay for it to get those shows, BK? That's...
I don't know. I feel like they're gonna have the extra content on there. The Olympics, during the middle of the day, sometimes it's only on one channel, but they'll have where they're when you're trying to watch Yugoslavia go up against the Czech Republic in men's water polo, they're gonna be oh, that's gonna be on the Peacock. I'm gonna be absolutely, sign me up. I want to watch that.
Got to it. The 4 shows are the following. They're going to have Tokyo Live, which is live coverage of some of the day's events, including live competitions, medal ceremonies, and more. Well, obviously, I got to watch that. Tokyo Gold, that is an hour-long highlight program looking at the most compelling performances of the day. Then we have On Her Turf at the Olympics, celebrating female athletes with features, interviews, and timely coverage. And then to wrap it up, it's Tokyo Tonight. Primetime show will put viewers in the middle of the competition day in Tokyo. I am a big fan of the Olympics. It is my favorite. I will say that I'm more partial to the Winter Olympics. It's all right. I still do love the Olympics in general. Summer games are cool too. I'm really excited to see what they do in Tokyo. I have feelings that are not sports related on some of the Olympics decisions, right? When it comes to like not allowing people to protest and stuff, feel a little certain type of way about the Olympics, wanting to get involved in that, but that is what it is. But the Peacock here, way to string me in, because I only have it till July, because I got the deal when the WWE Network switched, because I was like, well, I guess I have to watch WrestleMania, so I guess I'm gonna have to use Peacock for at least a month, and they gave it to me till July. So, and we were talking about it before the show, like, oh well, damn, man, I gotta at least keep it another month after that because I gotta watch the Olympics. So, I like that they're at least. Again, we talked about this earlier with the NHL deal. I like that these streaming sites are these companies are using that to give us more content. So that's fine with me. I get more Olympic content. That's cool. BK, I know you also love the Olympics.
Oh, I absolutely. It's all I watch when it's on. Yeah, like I don't know if I said this on like the last like podcast, but it was around the time when I met Petey from Tahiti, and it was Winter Olympics time. And I think we had on like 3 different curling matches at the same time. We had like 3 or 4 TVs set up in our tiny apartment, and it was blazing hot in that tiny thing. And so we had to have all the windows open just because it was getting so hot there. Yeah, I love the Olympics. It's going to be on 24/7. 365 like in the house. Love to support American greatness and athleticism.
Peter, are you a big Olympics guy?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to throw it on. I mean, I don't know if I'm like BK. I'm probably not throwing that water polo game or whatever game he's talking about with Yugoslavia or whatever it was. It was probably some 7th place game that nobody cares about. But no, I'm not gonna throw that on. But I mean, hey, if America's on or if we're watching some other awesome event, maybe not like a 7th place like weird game, probably not. But no, I'll throw it on. Absolutely, yeah. I mean. Especially, during the summer, throw the Cubs game, maybe on my phone. I don't know. By that time, it's really a love-hate relationship. So, it might be more Olympics really at that point. So, yeah, probably be a lot of Olympics, really, because maybe it'd be the deadline. We'll just trade everyone. But yeah, I'm hyped for the Olympics.
David, do you enjoy the Olympics?
Yeah, I've always liked watching the Olympics, both summer and winter. So I'll definitely enjoy it. I like watching everything, so I'll definitely probably ask one of you guys for a Peacock account, or
there it is.
I will make one for the Olympics to watch it. But yeah, I would watch a whole bunch of stuff. Like I like watching like the biking events and all of that, and the races that they do, triathlons they have. I like all this stuff. I like watching it all. Beach volleyball, yeah, because but one person, well, the ladies was from Chicago, so I used to watch it when she was.
Carrie Walsh Jennings is still at it. She's supposed to be.
Yeah, still going at it, and so I'll watch that. Yeah, because I've actually, I think there was an event in Chicago one time when they were actually playing at North Avenue Beach. One time when I was in the area, and I was like, cool. It was super crowded, but it was just cool that they were in that area just playing. You don't really think, oh, beach volleyball. You don't know one thing's Chicago, right? You're like, oh, okay, Florida and California. You're not thinking on the lakefront over here that play some beach volleyball. But
I didn't think of y'all at all.
So neither did we.
But so I thought that was kind of neat. Obviously, that was probably some promotion stuff, but that was kind of cool. But yeah, I really enjoy the Olympics, so I definitely will watch it. And hopefully Peacock allows it so that you could watch it live. Because we have that issue when everything's overseas, right? You always have that delay. You don't get to watch it live. You have to watch it when it's the prime time events, right? So they wait to show it at the prime time. We already know who won, so you can just look it up. But you have to wait for the prime time event for us to see it, or like NBC rights, which they'll still probably do. But hopefully you can watch most of it live. That'd be great.
That's a good point. BK, you are up next.
Kim Mulkey leaves Baylor to become the head coach of women's basketball at LSU. She won 3 natties with Baylor in 2005, 2012, and 2019. Part of the reason that she's leaving Baylor and the absolute dominant she is built there is because she grew up in Louisiana, won 4 state championships in basketball, and then won 2 national championships with La Tech, Louisiana Tech there. So it's kind of a coming home party for her. She was she's talking about a lot today, or not the other day at her LSU presser about how it was very emotional for her coming home and all that stuff. So good for her. It sucks that the SEC is getting a solid basketball coach and that they're going to start that's another team that's going to do really well for them. So that's a bummer.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. There it is. The SEC hate continues down here on the AM Nation pod. So it's super funny. When you were first doing the notes, I saw this was highlighted in Pete's color. And I was like, I don't know if Pete really cares to talk about UFC, right? So I'm like,
I can confirm.
I sure do. So I'm like, I'll change it to my color. It's fine. I'll do it. It's fine. So Usman turns Masvidal into a perma meme. I'm sure you've all seen it. I saw the one where it's like him getting knocked out in the spit and the waters everywhere. It says turned him into a whole solar system. It's fantastic. With his second round knockout to retain his welterweight title, Masvidal had been knocked out since 2008. This is Usman's 4th straight title defense win and 14th straight win overall, putting him only behind Anderson Silva's 16 consecutive win streak. Yeah, it was a dominant performance. He's fantastic. The guy's an absolute stud. I don't get very political on here because I'd save that for a different show, but let me just say, if you knew anything about Masvidal and how he was kind of acting last year, you probably felt real good when he got knocked out in the second round, because I sure did. Someone who didn't was Chad Johnson, who put a large sum of money on him, and that didn't pay off for him. Also, in one of the other matches, is it Chris Weidman? Anderson Silva his leg and broke it. So if you hadn't seen that yet and you don't mind looking it up, you should. But I was sitting there. So Saturday was a long night for me. I had gotten my vaccine after work, second one. And then I went out and was having a couple of drinks with some buddies, and I had my phone open, and I was like, oh, look at it. And I'm like, ooh, why is he trending? I'm like, oh, maybe he won. And then I clicked it, and nope, there's his leg snapping. I was like, ooh, it was really gross. But overall, the event was really good. Oh,
sorry. The bad part about it was where he didn't even feel it happen. Is
So
just when he stepped.
Yeah,
and I was just like, seeing it snap wasn't as gross. But when he tries to step on it and it gives, then you're just like,
True. It's super nasty. I do want to point out here, from Frank in the chat, he did tell us about J-Lo and A-Royd. You are correct. I heard they were at dinner. Again, I watch TMZ during work, because that's all we have on. It's either that or Telemundo, if you ask Carlos. So there we go. We're watching one of the two. And they were back at dinner, man. It's very complicated. I'll try to keep you updated, though, Frank, as the weeks go on. I'll try to keep us updated. Also, he said the U.S. men's soccer team finally made it to the Olympics in over a decade. So, nice. They can't make the World Cup, though. Can't do that. God.
No, it's the Olympics have dumb rules for soccer, and I think it's because FIFA they have their input nets. You can only have so many guys on the over 23 national team, stuff like that. There's a lot of just dumb rules where it's just the Olympic men's soccer, no one gives a shit. No one gives us.
Wow.
But I didn't. Did I fully say it, or did I say? I don't know if that counts, but
I don't know. You know,
I'm gonna go with the count.
Oh, at least it wasn't a hard F-bomb. I appreciate that. Mayweather and then...
I've already donated. We got our first donation.
Oh, love to see it. Mayweather and Logan Paul. Yes, they have finally agreed to fight. That'll be June 6th. I didn't throw that in the notes, but thank you for that, Frank.
Really?
Yep, it's happening. And David Jose's hosting it. So be prepared.
Are you sure about that? June 6th? He'll be on the water.
No, it's on Sunday. He already told me. I already texted him. He already knows.
It's on a Sunday.
It's on a Sunday, I'm pretty sure, right?
Who would do a fight on a Sunday? That won't make no sense. It's gotta be a Saturday.
I don't know. I'm gonna look at my calendar right now.
It is a Sunday. Wow.
It is a Sunday. I was correct. That is
who fights on a Sunday?
Baller. That'll be as BK is traveling back home after visiting everybody, and hopefully he gets home and gets to watch a YouTuber get rocked by Floyd Mayweather. That could totally happen. And when he watches the clip, on Twitter, boom, there it is. He ain't paying for it. I got you, bro.
No, I didn't pay for the fights this past week because I was like, oh, $80. No, thank you.
Oh, yeah, that is a little rich for my blood. Before I close it out here with you, Pete, I do have a couple of things here real quick. University of Illinois recorded their 11th no-hitter in program history on Sunday. They beat Purdue 1-0. Of course, Purdue can't get a hit. You know why? Because they're boring. We talked about it on the March Madness show. They're just boring.
True.
Riley Gowns, Ryan O'Hara, and Cole Kershiper combined to pitch the no-no. Super awesome for the University of Illinois. It was pretty dope. I don't remember if that was the game that we were gonna go travel down there for. I'll ask my dad because we were gonna go see an Illini baseball game. And I'm gonna be really honest, if it's that one, I'm gonna feel a little salty. I'm like, Dad, bro, we should have done it, but we weren't sure because he was trying to figure out if they were actually letting people go to the games down there or not. We weren't 100% sure on that. And also sports betting continues to just take over. It's more country. I think Ohio is about to actually have it all legalized and everything, which is pretty sweet. Shout out to y'all. Nevada's casinos collected over $1 billion during the month of March. It's their highest total since February 2013. And out of that $1 billion, $640 million was due to March Madness. Nice.
Yep.
Also, if you use FanDuel, they updated the app. I told David earlier. It's real nice now. It's looking real clean. I will donate. I will donate. Yeah, basically, I will donate some money to it. So there we go. I did win some money earlier today though because I did take the tie in the Champions League game, which we will get to here in a second. But Pete, I'll let you round up the miscellaneous sports with some OU news.
Yeah, I mean, good segue to March Madness. Guy who shined a little bit here in March Madness was Jason Preston of Ohio University. He actually did declare for the draft. Jason, I love you, man. Think your game's great. Good for you, but let's try to come back to school here. I feel like there's a couple things we could probably work on. I know that it was probably a great storyline here. It's probably a lot of publicity. Let's possibly, get the draft thing going up. Let's work on the game a little bit more. Work on the jumper a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, it's great that even a kid from OU, like him declaring for the draft is even making news is pretty cool. But, like, Jason, let's come back to school, man. And, I am going to say this as a biased alum. Yeah, I'd love to see them try to make the tournament again next year. So, yeah, I mean, Jason would be a huge part of that if he did come back. Yeah, so.
Pretty sweet. OU, oh, yeah. All right, let's do it. I'm going to hit that music. And BK, it's time to take us to the pitch.
It's time for BK to take you to the pitch.
Cool. Still can't hear. But quick update actually before I get to the pitch on quick sporting news updates that are happening tonight. Warriors are down at half, 62-29 to the Mavericks, and he only has 2 3. Steph Curry. So you need him to step it up. Also, Vlad Jr. hit 3 home runs tonight. 7 RBI, youngest player in MLB history with a 3 home run game. Vlad Jr. there.
Stud.
Big bad baby Vlad, baby.
So there's your quick up to the minute sports update on this podcast for you here. But to the pitch, Arsenal played like dog doo-doo, lost to Everton the other day, 1-0 with an own goal from the goalkeeper Bern Leno. Just they're playing off on the Premier League right now, and it seems like Arsenal kind of have all their eggs in the Europa League basket to hopefully make it into the Champions League next year. Their next game comes on Thursday here against Villarreal at 3 p.m. BK time. So keep get ready for that. Man U, Ryan's new team, they drew against Leeds the other day. They play Roma on Thursday, also in the Europa League. So stay tuned. And that's also at the same time. They put the games at the same time. I don't know why. It's really upsetting, and when you watch in the US, they have like both games on at the same time. And when they have 4 games on, they just kind of flip between all 4, and they have people commentating all of them. That's what you gotta just kind of deal with. So Look forward to that, Ryan. It's fun
can't
stuff.
wait, dude. Can't wait.
Arsenal signed 19-year-old academy prospect. I'm going to say his name wrong. Folarin Balogun to a long-term contract to stay at Arsenal, I believe, through 2025. There are talks of him signing elsewhere based on his future at the club because he plays striker/forward. He wasn't sure where he fit into the long-term plans. They convinced him to stay. This is fantastic. He's a clear replacement for Aubameyang and Lacazette going forward. And here's some Balogun stats for you. He's had 72 starts at the academy level. So it's like under 23s and like under 18s, like mainly I think that's where these stats are coming from. So 72 starts, 61 goals, and 15 assists in those 72 starts. That's nuts. Oh, he's 19, by the way.
Oh,
he's really good.
absolutely
Really good. Actually born in New York, but he grew up mostly in England there. But he has played for the U.S. men's like national team, but like the under 18s, and he's also played for the English team as well. He'll probably play for England going forward. But don't get your hopes high for him playing the U.S. Unfortunately, Newcastle and Blackburn striker Alan Shearer and Thierry Henry, Arsenal legend, were both elected to the inaugural Premier League Hall of Fame class. Woohoo! Alan Shearer scored 260 goals across his 14 seasons in the EPL, and Henry scored 175 goals in his 258 matches for the Gunners. So that's the inaugural class. Both great forwards. This will be a cool thing to see, like going forward. Like since you're a big Man U fan now, Ryan, like Man U's they're gonna have a lot of guys in there. That's just. Oh, yeah. That's a given. There's going to be tons of guys in there.
Shirt's already on order, man. Are you ready?
Oh, did you get? Did you get a player specifically, or did you get like a no name?
I can't pronounce
like
his
no
name.
name on the back.
I can't pronounce his name, so I'm gonna pull it up. But I'll let you continue.
Okay. Spotify CEO Daniel Ek, Ek. That's the only way I think I can say that. Has launched a takeover bid to buy Arsenal with former Arsenal players Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, and Patrick Vieira from the Crankies, or KSC, because that's like the name of their sports group or whatever, amid backlash from the club, from Arsenal, like the higher-ups, entering the failed Europa Super League. Now, this was updated earlier today. Josh Cranky, the son of Stan Cranky, got on a phone call with everyone in that's associated with the club at Arsenal and told them they are not entertaining any offers, and they have no plans to sell whatsoever. But supposedly tomorrow/today, the Spotify CEO is supposed to like have an informal meeting with the Crankies, like somehow about trying to buy them. Who knows? Maybe there'd be a subscription tier tied with that.
The thing is that Spotify's is like, hey man, I know we're gonna be getting some exclusive AM Nation pod content, so I think we can make
it work.
Move. Yeah, I think we can make it work.
Did you look up that guy's whoever you got?
Yeah,
coming
it's
in?
actually Marcus Rashford. Because
that's not hard to say.
No, but I had a brain fart on it. But the reason I did it was because like I talked about when I last week on the Super League show, where I was doing a lot of like listening to people about everything going on, and one of the guys was talking about Manchester United and about how Rashford is one of the main reasons that the youth in England were able to continue to get like lunches and stuff during the pandemic and like some of the poverty and stuff, because he went in front of the government there and spoke on the behalf and like really pushed for it. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm like, oh, cool. And then like one of my buddies like, yeah, he's actually really good too. I was like, oh, that's just a bonus. I was just really happy because he's a good guy.
Yeah, well, no, he's a great player and like a good person. Yeah, he bought like tons of school lunches for all the schools there. Because that was a big thing. He's a great player, but yeah, it's a bummer that you're a Man U fan. But no one's perfect. No one's perfect. Just like how Mike's a Steelers fan. No one's perfect. Liverpool reported a loss of $64 million for the season ending last May due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's got to hurt LBJ's wallet there a little bit, because he's however much of a stake he actually has in Liverpool. They'll bounce back. They were the champions just last year, but that's how it's just putting in perspective. EPL is one of the biggest soccer leagues in in the world, and Liverpool is one of the biggest clubs in the world. They were part of the European Super League team there, and they lost 64 million. So that's a big team losing that. Just imagine all the mid-tier and smaller teams. So hopefully we get through all this soon, and then we can continue to have sports, because when we didn't there for a while, it really stunk. 3 out of the 4 Champions League semifinal teams were part of the failed ESL that we kind of talked a little bit about last week. Please check it out, and thank you for everyone that did listen to us. I feel like I know we do have some European listeners, so please hit us up, amnationpod@gmail.com, to let us really honestly know what you think on the European Super League, and your thoughts on all that. That would be really great. Or hit us up on Twitter. I don't know the Twitter handle.
At amnationpod, or you can leave a voicemail or text the show 815-556-9089. BK, back to you.
Thank you. Chelsea, Man City, Real Madrid were all a part of the ESL there. I'm just going to say that's a lot easier. Mm-hmm. PSG was the only team who wasn't, but they were clearly the one French team. So I really don't like that. PSG was we weren't going to do it. Now, shut up. If the league was happening, PSG was in it because there was one French team. That was going to be the only French team. Just like Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund were we weren't going to do it. It said 2 German clubs. What? It's going to be all hush.
They did, yeah. I talked to you before the show. I checked it out earlier today on break, and I was watching it, and I saw the Real Madrid goal, and I was absolutely losing my mind. And I was I don't even care for either of those teams, but I was just that's so cool. That goal was so awesome. It's very, very incredibly talented. The move that he made. With the quick header reflex.
Called a beautiful game.
It was a very beautiful game, and in the pouring rain as well. So yeah, they drew. Chelsea and Real Madrid drew today. I was yeah, look at me getting ready for the pitch. Look at me getting out there.
There you go. Yeah, Christian Pulisic, American wonder kid there. Mm-hmm. He's supposed to kind of be the next Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey, in terms of the American wonder kids there. Like we were saying a little bit in the pre-show, he's just, since he came on Chelsea, he's struggled a little bit just with injuries. So hopefully he can kind of get healthier. Maybe not do it for Chelsea, though. I don't really like them at all. So just come to Arsenal. That'd be cool. Just not Chelsea. Maybe just go somewhere else. Go to Italy. Play there. Go play for Juventus. I like that.
He's yeah, that's where I want him to go. That's it. Awesome. Yeah, the Champions League I think continues tomorrow with the second game there, so that would be pretty dope as well. BK, thank you for taking us to the pitch, and now we wrap up the show with NFL talk. Of course, the draft is this week. Last week we found out that Petey Tahiti will be at the draft Thursday night, repping some AM Nation pod, getting out there, figuring it out, getting a feel of the draft. It's pretty awesome, Pete. But before we get to the draft preview, I do have some moves that happened. First, I'm going to get to the Ravens trade, but I want to just do this a couple of quick ones here, which is Justin Jefferson will be the first NFL player featured in Fortnite. Epic will have Jefferson's gritty dance put into the game. Again, I'm sure David heartbroken that Juju Smith wasn't the first NFL player to get into.
It's more like a blank word.
Yeah, be a bad
blank word.
He said, I love the meme you sent me earlier, David. It's like Juju when he found out he wasn't the first one in Fortnite. It's his head down when he's crying. And I was like, oh man, David doesn't forget, never forgets.
Nope.
But also, the Ravens did send Orlando Brown to the Chiefs. The Chiefs get Orlando Brown, obviously, a 2021 second-round pick and a 2022 sixth-round pick. The Ravens get a 2021 first-round pick, 2021 third-round pick, 2021 fourth-round pick, and a 2022 fifth-round pick. As the resident Ravens fan, BK, your thoughts?
So, I like the amount of picks that the Ravens got back. What makes me really salty about it, is that it goes to the Chiefs, the direct competition right now. some people are like, oh yeah, setting them like to their rivals, and it's like, all right, well, I don't consider the Chiefs rivals. Like we don't play them. We don't play in the same division as them. Like this isn't. We don't play them regularly enough to be called rivals. So I hate how the media is saying that. Like that's just not correct at all. Yeah, has there been a sparring match the past few years because both teams have really young quarterbacks? Yeah, sure, but not rivals. No. I do like the amount of picks that we got back. And Eric DeCosta said he wants to have 20 picks over the next 2 years here. He said that. They're trying to load the whole roster up with rookie contracts so they can have enough money set aside to play Lamar Jackson. So that's the plan. So one of those first-round picks, whether it be the 27th or the 31st overall, they're going to trade back because they don't have a second-round pick this year. So they're going to trade one of those picks back depending on if there's a wide receiver or one of the offensive tackles. Like if one or two of those guys just starts dropping, they're gonna trade back. Absolutely. If not, honestly, just trade both. Just trade both picks back. That way you get the guys cheaper and everything like that, and it saves, like I said, more money for Lamar. So I am salty they went to the Chiefs, but at the end of the day, it's a pretty good return on investment. And Orlando Brown, his dad played for the Ravens. He grew up as a Raven, and so it's kind of cool to see him to actually play for the Ravens. And he only had nice things to say. And he was like, this was kind of all. He's like, they know I wanted to be a left tackle, and it's like kind of for like my dad and everything like that. And he's like, I only have nice things to say about the organization. They worked with me, and everything. So I kind of hope he does well, just not against the Ravens. He can like a few sacks go up. Just let Mahomes just get crushed. That'd be cool.
Oof. Also, update: the White Sox getting rocked 5-2 here by the Tigers, and the Blackhawks lost 7-4 against the Lightning. So, shout out to Chicago sports today. But another trade that could be in the works: are the Falcons really going to trade Julio Jones? Now, for cap reasons, this would have to happen after June 1st. Otherwise, they would owe Julio's contract a lot of money. But they save a lot of money if they trade him after June 1st. So, after signing him to a 3-year extension in 2019 worth $66 million, with $64 million of that guaranteed. If the Falcons were to trade him before June 1st, they'd be on the hook for $23.25 million, and they would drop back into the red with $200,000 owed against the cap. Those numbers would flip after June 1st, and the team would garner a less than dead money hit of 7.75 and net 15.3 mil in savings. So, Pete, do you believe they're going to trade Julio Jones?
Yeah, I think he is going to get dealt before the season. And I would love him to be a Green Bay Packer. Just get it done. Just oh my God, if you put Julio on, hey, I'm going to live in dreamland. I don't care. I don't care that it was like 80 degrees here in Cleveland. You know what? It's a dream scenario. So yeah, let's put Julio, Devontae. Let's do it. Tell me a defense that can stop that. Like if you put those two together, that would be awesome. Like, oh my God. I mean, that would be fantastic. But no, out of dream world. No, I think he does get dealt. I mean, that's just too much money for a guy that, I mean, there's a reason why Atlanta has a top 5 pick. They stink, okay? They're not good. You got to try to get as much like draft capital as you can. There's a lot of weaknesses on that team. You got an aging quarterback. You got a receiver that's making as much money as Julio is. And Julio wants to win. Julio has never complained really about anything. So for his sake, I hope he goes to contender, and can try to get a ring. And I just feel like from Atlanta's standpoint, you got to do that. I mean, we can all argue. I mean, Julio, even at his age right now, is probably a top 5 receiver still in the game. He is a game changer. So, his value is not going to be higher. It is obviously a lot of money there for a receiver, but I mean, I just love to see him get out of Atlanta and, go to a contender, in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but that's not going to happen. So, whatever.
David, do you think Julio gets moved?
That's hard to say. I feel like he can go if the offer, if the price is right. The Falcons would definitely trade him. what's weird about it is it would have to happen after the draft, which I don't think is what Atlanta wants. They would probably prefer it during this draft instead of next year's capital. Because that's probably what it would be then if they have to trade him after June 1st. It would make no sense to do it beforehand. Then again, where's really their salary cap going to go to be honest, if they do it before the draft? It's a tough one. I can see him definitely being traded if the price is right. Everyone's expendable if you make a good offer. So, I would say that most likely he would be traded probably before the season starts.
Ooh, BK.
If you're Matt Ryan too, and you hear that Julio Jones is like on the way out, then I feel like you probably got to be thinking like, all right, well, I know the Falcons have an out in my contract after next season. You got to know that your name's kind of next on the list after Julio directly, and also because the Falcons have been rumored to look at a quarterback at that position, and so they can literally draft a guy, just Trey Lance, Justin Fields. It looks like could be either one of those guys in that spot. Who knows? And Matt Ryan starts for one more year. They release him, and then the rookie comes in and starts. Julio, he could go to Green Bay. Off the top of my head, could go to the New England Patriots. Honestly, it makes a lot of sense as well. I imagine the Ravens would probably even throw their hats into the ring. But in terms of, like I said, with the draft picks, it doesn't make sense tying themselves down into like a big contract, like say when they're about to pay Lamar. So that's the only reason why I don't see it happening. Him getting traded after the draft does suck for the Falcons because they're really gonna have to figure it out draft night instead of because and also on draft night I feel like you get all that excitement. It's kind of like when you're in an auction and people get bid crazy, like yeah, and it goes jacking up, and I feel like you're gonna miss out on that, almost getting extra back for Julio because you're losing that excitement around the draft.
That's a good point.
That was the only reason why I was thinking like they would eat that money up, because like where are they gonna spend that money anyways? Because they already know they're probably gonna be horrible, right? So
you just have so many needs, right? That's why their fourth pick is going to be so interesting, because it's like if you really are moving on from Julio, then like to your point, BK, I mean Matt Ryan's got to be next. So then do you take a look at one of those young quarterbacks, whichever one is there, or do you go and get, arguably to me, if Trevor Lawrence wasn't in this draft, the number one pick in the draft, Kyle Pitts? I mean, like absolute freak of an athlete there at tight end. I mean, that's also a big spot for them too. You do have, a new offense there with Arthur Smith, and I think that this is something where the Falcons are going to be in an interesting position. But I do believe they trade Julio. To David's point, like, yeah, I mean, you could just say, screw it, we're going to eat the money and just try and get as much draft capital as you can in this draft. And honestly, though, what I've been hearing is that a lot of teams are trying to just continuously trade back because they want to stock up on picks for next year's class. And maybe Atlanta is also in that camp. And that's why they're okay with not getting the draft capital this year, because they know it's going to be rough anyway. We'll save ourselves some money, and we'll also get draft capital for next year, because you're going to get a slew of picks for Julio Jones regardless, right? I mean, I think so. Wherever he goes. Yeah, I mean, my boy, if it was Green Bay, I'm not going to say what I would do, but it wouldn't be good. So we'll see where Julio Jones. But like I did say, the draft is Thursday. It is the best. I'm trying to remember. Did a bunch of us get on and live stream it last year while we were watching it?
Yeah.
I thought so. I thought a few of us did. I was pretty sure. I was on, or maybe it was just
we did.
You did.
Because I have all.
He was looking around like,
it wasn't Pete then. I think, but I do know.
No, I was not on it.
Okay. I know. I think it might have just been us, David, on your stream, and that might have been what we did. Because I do remember watching it, because I was drinking and watching it, and Roger Goodell and me were basically at the same level of wasted at one point during draft week. We were pretty close.
Is that Thursday?
It will be Thursday.
Yeah.
So are we gonna do a gaming show, or are we gonna do a draft?
We're gonna do a gaming show. That's happening, you know. But
Okay.
as soon as the gaming show's done, you know, the after show might turn into some draft talk. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
draft bar would be going during the gaming show. There's gonna be a bunch of this pick just came in while it's there in the gaming show. Then but I'm pretty sure what starts at what time does NFL draft start?
8.
The question comes to P2. Will you be repping the AM Nation at the NFL draft in Cleveland?
Man, dude, that's a super good question. Mostly because I have not picked out what I was going to be wearing for the draft, and because beautiful Cleveland weather is supposed to be hitting here on Tuesday of beautiful rain and cloudy. So, and it's supposed to be like low 50s. So I'm not really sure.
Right? You got the AM Nation sweatshirt.
I know. See, I know, and like
all I'm saying,
But-
Pete, all I'm saying, while you're out there, maybe a player walks by, maybe you want to grab your phone, record an audio message with him, ask him a couple questions, get those work in, live your life, bro. Live your life, do your thing.
absolutely. I mean, yeah, man. I mean,
Maybe
if,
Roger Goodell wants to talk to you. It's cool.
I mean, hey, if Raj wants to have a conversation, I'm not gonna say no. So that's an open invite for Raj, for Mr. Goodell.
Come to the show.
Yeah, I got him as Raj on the speed dial on my phone. He's actually one of the faves. So I got a personal picture with him and me right in front of the Cleveland sign. You know,
so
way back.
I mean, BK. To the favorites. I mean, I got my mom, my dad, my sister, Molly, and Raj as my favorites. There on my phone. So yeah, of course, you know, on speed dial, baby. But no, I think I am gonna. I gotta rock something Packers though. Like some Packers, maybe a Packers hat. Maybe I'll rock Packers hat.
There you go. Get outside the box.
And then confuse people and have a Browns face mask on too. So Browns face mask, AM Nation hoodie, and then Packers hat.
Gang.
Yep.
So let's do a little bit of a preview here. So what I want to do is our teams. We're gonna discuss each team, and we're just gonna go through and each. You know, if you're the fan of that team, you're gonna tell me what is there a player in the first round you're maybe looking for, and what do you hope to see addressed. We'll recap the draft next week. Real quick though, Pete, who is San Francisco going with at number 3?
Man, this is going to determine the entire draft. I mean, this really is. Who San Francisco does or who they draft is really going to determine everything. I mean, we've been talking about, a few weeks ago, it was Justin Fields. Now, recently, it's been Mac Jones. Then we've had some conversations that people have said Trey Lance. Supposedly, Trey Lance is the guy that the ownership likes, but then Mac Jones is the guy that Kyle Shanahan likes. I'm sorry, if it comes down to who I'm going to trust, Shanahan or the front office, I'm going with Shanahan. There on that. I know I have talked so much smack about Mac Jones here at Alabama. I didn't think he was going to be good. I don't know what it is. There's something about him that makes me mad. So maybe he actually will be good in the pros. Now that I think about it with Mac Jones. But no, I just think I think they're going to go with Shanahan. So I think it's going to be Mac Jones. It's going to kind of shock everyone. I think the Trey Lance factor is we looked at it with Trubisky. We've looked at it with other quarterbacks where he's only really started for a year. I mean, the North Dakota State thing, I know that's like a thing that people are bringing up. Where was the competition, whatnot, whatever. I mean, he only started a year. So that was also a thing. But Justin Fields, I think, is getting a lot of backlash, which I don't really understand why. I know they came out with like that. I know Sanchez on the Pat McAfee show was talking him up because he was talking about that Goldman test that he took, and like Justin Fields was the second highest since they've done it within the last 10 years. He was higher than Mahomes and higher than Josh Allen. It's not just like the Wonderlic test where it's like Andrew Luck, Aaron Rodgers, those guys that are like super smart are gonna be higher. There's a lot of other things that go into it. So no, I as a Packer fan, I would be the most terrified, I think, if Justin Fields went there. Just from a dynamic perspective, I think Shanahan could do a lot with Justin Fields, but I think it's going to be Mac Jones. I got that feeling it's going to be Mac Jones. But when I look at Mac Jones, I think he's Jimmy Garoppolo 2.0, but I could be wrong. That's what I think of when I look at him, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this is going to determine the entire draft, whatever happens here.
Sure, it really is. David, do you think Mac Jones also goes to the San Francisco 49ers?
I'm gonna go right off of Pete's last comment there. I mean, that's probably why Shanahan likes him, right? Because he likes Garoppolo. The only issue he didn't like with him was that he turned the ball over, right? He wants that's his style of quarterback. That's his style of offense, and that's why Shanahan wants him as his quarterback and try to mold him in that position as opposed to a Fields or a Lance who is not that type of mold. Now what they do, I think they're definitely going quarterback here. Obviously you don't waste all that draft capital to move up to this spot to not draft your future quarterback here. Even though they said previously in the past, like, no, we weren't doing it. We all know you're drafting a quarterback. So, as to which one, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's really, it's a coin flip, really. That's what it seems like what's going to come down to. They're going to keep discussing that. I even read like an article that San Fran, like, they've like viewed so many players this off season and had so many combines and attended so many college games. So they definitely have some knowledge going into this. So they definitely should know who they're going to be definitely picking at this 3 slot. So I think it's going to be Mac. I'm not high on him as well, just because I think the main reason why I'm not hyped on it is because of how all the Alabama quarterbacks have came in. They have not been that great. They've been okay, or they'll have like a decent season or mediocre seasons, but they're never been like, oh my God, like they had like one of the best years, you know? So that's why I think that's what's in my head, right? Like, nah, I'm not going with an Alabama quarterback. And I kind of feel almost the same thing with like, I don't want an Ohio State quarterback neither. So that's where the Fields thing comes in there. So it's kind of rough thinking about those two because they're great in college, but when they come to the NFL, those quarterbacks never seem to develop or progress or show their full potential like they were in college. So that's what I think is kind of rough on that area.
I have a point for that, but I'll let BK go first. BK.
I think I agree with P2 and David that I think the 49ers do go with Mac Jones just because it's very similar. You know, Alex Smith, Matt Ryan, Jimmy G, same type of quarterback. And also, I think they're ready to completely move on from Jimmy G, and so they want a guy that can kind of come in, essentially start. Mac Jones has been running the pro offense essentially already at Alabama. They're already saying that he kind of has the highest floor just because he can kind of come in and play for you essentially like day one, and just because the smarts and everything like that. So it makes a lot of sense, and their window is closing here soon. They have like about another year or two window where their young guys are going to get fat contracts that they have on the other side of the ball. So they have a window right now that they're trying to hit, and so I think that's the only reason why they go with Mac Jones. If you get someone like a Trey Lance, he has a lower floor but a higher ceiling because his athletic ability is through the roof, but he's not going to be a day one starter for you. He's going to have to sit at least a year, if not more, just because he has only started a year. But he can still do well at the next level, like I said, because athletic ability. But then also, I mean, there's been plenty of great quarterbacks, to come from that level. I mean, as recently as Carson Wentz, Joe Flacco's. Like I'm not saying Joe Flacco's elite, but he did win a Super Bowl, had a great. So there is a history of them doing well. I also agree with P2. I don't know why Justin Fields is all of a sudden like dropping. Maybe because he had a very inconsistent year this year. It wasn't as sexy. Maybe not as eye popping. I don't know. The hate on Justin Fields is honestly gone on too far. Maybe part of it has to stem back to that he left Georgia because he couldn't beat Fromm. I don't know. Maybe that's what's like bothering some NFL GMs is that he didn't want to grind it out, stick it out there, and just beat Fromm for the starting job, and he had to run tail to Ohio State. I don't know. I'm trying to think out loud and guess because the kid's got a lot of talent.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. The Mac Jones thing, I think it's Mac Jones too. When you guys talk about him being like Jimmy Garoppolo and the only issue was turnovers, he only threw 4 picks last year, and then the little bit he played in 19, he threw 3. So Mac Jones, I think, has good mechanics. I think, to BK's point, yeah, he's the only one besides Trevor Lawrence that I think, because Zach Wilson too, but like, when you compare Mac Jones to Trey Lance and Justin Fields, Mac Jones is the only one ready to go day one, I think, and that's something that San Francisco. It's a good point with their window that you had to kind of pay attention to there. The thing. I was waiting for it because like that is the thing, right? That we get into this mentality of like where they come from, what school they're from, because it is a thing, right? Alabama, doesn't always produce great NFL quarterbacks. Ohio State doesn't always produce great NFL quarterbacks. And now I think the biggest thing is you also have to remember that like we're like that with other teams too, right? Oregon, for instance, like you look at Oregon, it's always like, oh, you've got a Marcus Mariota. You've got, Joey Harrington. Yeah,
Joey Harrington.
You've got a few. They're like, oh, that's gross. But then there's a Justin Herbert who looks really good.
Yeah.
And that could be it. We go to Notre Dame. It's Brady Quinn, Jimmy Clausen, Kaiser. Well, and there's Joe Montana. Michigan. Boy. I'm just saying that it always comes out every once in a while, right? You look at Michigan, and obviously we know where we're going here, but there's a lot of bad Michigan quarterbacks when it comes to the pros. But then there's Tom Brady. I do think that it's good point. It's a great point because we do that with ourselves when we get into this, that we start to think like, I don't know, because like obviously then you get like Aaron Rodgers from Cal, or Andrew Luck at Stanford and what he was able to do before he had to retire, and like. I do think it is random, but at times I wouldn't be shocked. When I look at Mac Jones and I watch what he's able to do, he just looks very comfortable running a pro-style offense, and I think that works really well. And I can see that's probably why Kyle Shanahan likes him so much. It fits the mold, and that's where he's going to go. Now, let's get into what we think. Now, David, you weren't here last week. Obviously, you're seeing the Cubs. So I did call it a wild card for you because I was like, I don't know what team David wants to talk about. It could be the Bears. It could be somebody different. He has denounced the Bears until Nagy and Pace are gone. So, BK, I'll start with you. The Ravens. Is there a player or a need specifically that you really think the Ravens should target?
The kind of like 3 or 4 here. Okay. Wide receiver. Ideally, and not like a slot receiver type. Just need a big, tall, bodied receiver. Miles Boykin hasn't really impressed a whole lot. Hasn't really hit that next level, unfortunately. Just kind of need a target man. That's what they're looking for. Offensive line help. They need either a center, or they're looking offensive tackle, where Orlando Brown just was, like at right tackle. That could change because the team could kick in one of the extra guards to center, which has been rumored that Bradley Bozeman could do that. Then the other main position is edge rush help. They need that. They need a lot of that. Yeah, they lost Judon and they lost Yannick Ngakoue. So all they're really returning there is Tyus Bowser, who he didn't do bad. He had the big pick against the Browns there late in the year. But yeah, those are the positions of need, and this draft is very heavy in the wide receiver and in the secondary as well. And the offensive tackles actually aren't that bad either. There's good depth.
That's good offensive tackles in this draft, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot. There's one wild card position too that I haven't seen talked about a lot of places. Is tight end. The Ravens did not find a real replacement last year for Hayden Hurst. It was kind of a revolving door, and the Ravens didn't run the 13 personnel lot, which is 3 tight ends and 1 wide receiver on the field. So I think they'll definitely target a tight end at some point. Their Kyle Pitts is going to go way too high. The one tight end from Boston College, I forget his name right now, but he's a traditional like tight end. Like he's a good blocking tight end, not bad hands. He could go in the second round when the Ravens trade back. And I want to say when. The Ravens always trade back. It's pretty consistent here. I think we can all going to agree on that, especially with 2 first-round draft picks. The Ravens are going to trade one back. I could see them also going to tight end.
Pete, how about your Packers?
Real quick, PK. I think the dude's name is Hunter Long that you were trying to talk about for Boston College. Yeah, dude looks like a freak. He's 6'5", 250. Yep, that's tight end. But no, for my Packers, no, I mean, the draft kind of sets up well because they're looking at what the draft is deep in. Cornerback position, wide receiver position would be fantastic. If they could draft Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss, that would be fantastic. They need a slot guy. Rodgers needs his Randall Cobb. That's what he needs. He needs a little slot guy to get those tough yards there up the middle. That could really pair well with Tunyon and then Devontae there on the outside. So that would be awesome. Corner is also a need. They did bring back Kevin King. Obviously, the NFC Championship was not his best game and very much exposed in that game. They have a shutdown in Jair Alexander. So if you can have another comparable guy on the outside, maybe like a guy like Greg Newsome, there from Northwestern, who's a stud. Love to see him. Or Asante Samuel Jr., who we all know his dad was fantastic there for the Patriots as well as the Eagles.
Great pedigree.
How do you feel about the potential of Caleb Fairley out of Virginia Tech falling to the Packers? Because there's a lot of talk because of health reasons he could be falling quick.
I know, and I saw that. I mean, the dude is super talented. So, I mean, if the Packers, I mean, they're at a spot where, I mean, they could possibly take a risk on it just because the talent's there. If you know, red flags with health, obviously that's a huge issue. But, I mean, hey, we drafted Jordan Love last year, so we don't really care much, I guess, about first-round picks.
I also like Atwell, the guy from Louisville. I think he'd be a great fit with y'all too. Another slot guy, like Elijah Moore. When you say Elijah Moore, I was agreeing. And then also, like, if Moore happens to be gone for whatever, I think Atwell would be a great fit for y'all.
Yeah, I just think that needs to be addressed. Like, let's stop beating around the bush with wide receiver. Let's just get a slot guy. Not to say like that our receivers aren't great, but I mean, you like to have a different guy. Let's get a small guy that, like, you know, can get you those 6 yards, whatever it needs. Just a quick pass for Rodgers, make it easy on him. And then offensive tackle, I think, needs to be addressed. You have Bakhtiari, who's coming back from ACL injury, even though earlier this week you saw him boxing in VR with Rodgers. The knee looked pretty good, so I do like that. So that was nice to see. And then middle linebacker, also a big need. I mean, we got to get a thumper. You know, a guy like Patrick Queen probably would have been cool last year instead of trading out to draft Jordan Love. But, I mean, hey, it is what it is. And then, you know, obviously the Packers will be looking at quarterback. Of course, all joking aside, they won't be looking at quarterback. But, yeah. But no, those are the draft needs that the Packers do have. And, I mean, hope to God it gets addressed because, I mean, first couple weren't last year, so we'll probably draft this year, like,
running back.
You know, just draft another running back, even though we have 2 that are studs and we just paid them both. And then, you know, we'll probably draft, I don't know, like, you know, another like defensive end. You know, that the guy, even though this draft isn't very good for pass rushers, you know, we'll reach for one. So that'll be great.
There it is.
But whatever.
David, do you want to go Bears here?
I'll go for Bears just for right now.
Okay.
Yeah, fun. So I think they're gonna go with a tackle. I think that's what most of the mock has been right now. But I will throw it out there that if Fields does keep falling, like he's projected or has been projected to, or even if a Lance falls, there's a possibility that the Bears try to move up 4 or 5 picks potentially to try to get maybe. I had to look. You probably would have to get ahead of the Patriots. So they would have to do a trade with Minnesota, which would probably be hard to do. But they could probably definitely do a trade with the Chargers or something if they wanted to try to move up and try to get a quarterback. I don't want them to, but there's a possibility that they could. I'm not going to rule it out. I just hope that the cost isn't so high to move up in the mid-teens to try to get a quarterback that's falling. But worst case, if they don't, I think they're going to be grabbing obviously a tackle or some type of offensive lineman, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a tackle, at least in that first spot.
Yeah, where I'm looking at right now, same thing, man. I honestly believe that the Bears, if this goes the way that I think it's going to go, it would end up being Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern, right in the Bears' backyard there, playing in Chicago there, Northwestern. I think that would be a good fit for the Bears. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears go in some different direction. What I'm hoping is they don't if for some reason, right, if the top five quarterbacks are gone, right? We know Lawrence is gone, we know Zach Wilson's gone, Mac Jones is going to be gone, and then it's probably left between Trey Lance and Justin Fields, which I have to assume by pick 20 they're gone. If they are, I really hope the Bears don't reach. We've been hearing a lot of is it Devin Mills out of Stanford that the Bears are really infatuated with him. Like, okay. It's also too like I'm all for the Bears going to get a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields. I'm all for it. Like, I truly believe both of them. The Trey Lance thing, his ceiling is very high, like BK mentioned earlier. Justin Fields, I think, is just a freak of an athlete, and I think that'd be such a breath of fresh air for the Chicago Bears anyway. But my curiosity here is, right, that when you talk about hot seats, like muy caliente, when it comes to the Bears' entire front office situation, right, with Ryan Pace, with Matt Nagy, and I would even say Ted Phillips to an extent. I think this is a really, really hot situation. So do they have the green light to go out and get a quarterback again? I don't know. Now, my thought is the Bears are going to trade into the top 10. This is my bold thought. This is what the Bears will, could do. They're going to trade into the top 10. They're going to draft Justin Fields. That's what the Bears, because that's such a Bears thing where they'll give up a bunch of picks and they'll just get Justin Fields and they'll be like, it's fine. That will work. We'll figure it out the rest. And I hope, my only hope is they don't, because I just don't understand. Like, for me, if you're going to draft a quarterback, it just, like, are you that confident that, like, you're going to get extended? Like, you're going to get a new deal, like, for Pace and Nagy? And, like, I don't know. The Bears have a lot of holes. So, like, for me, I'm all cool sitting at 20 and seeing what happens, right? If for some reason a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance is there, absolutely. Do it. Just take him at 20. Absolutely. If they're not, I do think you have to go tackle there, and I assume I'm guessing Slater might fall to them. So that would be where I would look at there for them. Anything else the Bears need to address over this draft for me? It would be, you could go and get a little bit more linebacker help to help out Roquan Smith. That would be super cool. Also, I don't hate any more secondary help. That'd be really sweet too. But obviously, offensive line and at some point a quarterback are definitely needed. I've been seeing Kellen Mond out of Texas. Is a Texas A&M linked to them as well. And I just remember at some point on a previous show talking about Kellen Mond and Pete telling me how bad he stinks. So, I don't feel great about that either. I don't feel comfortable with this Bears front office making a pick at quarterback. I just don't. Right after the Mitch Trubisky thing, or Ryan Pace's very first draft, where Kevin White gets drafted that high and he has a broken foot, and the rest is, we all know how that went down. So this is interesting, but I think you get a tackle. If you get this draft is definitely deep with tackles. Go get yourself one, get yourself a stud, and let's get ready for a really bad 17-game season this year, and we'll address the quarterback maybe next year, because Andy Dalton's our number one. So is what it is. It's not going to be great, I'll tell you that. Anything else here on the draft before we wrap things up?
Should be a lot of fun. I meant to touch on this earlier when you said a lot of teams were trading back, and it makes a lot of sense why a lot of teams are trading back and stockpile a pick, like let's say for next year, is because the lack of scouting, because the lack of games. Also, like, pro days are like kind of like skewed in favor of like the players always, because it's like, you're on your home turf, you feel like more comfortable and all that stuff. When you're at the combine, it's kind of just putting you in uncomfortable position after uncomfortable position. It's kind of a gruel grind. When you have the pro day, it's always kind of skewed in your favor. So that's why I think you're going to see a lot of teams trading back, and they're going to take those extra picks next year. But the teams that do draft like this year and take guys, it's going to really show like how strong their scouting is. Like, it's the teams I think you're going to see really do well are the teams that draft well. Period.
Of course. Well, everybody, thank you for listening to episode 163 of Amalgamation Nation, the AM Nation Pod. As always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. It's at AM Nation Pod. Make sure you hit that follow button on YouTube, search Amalgamation Nation, and hit that sub button. You can listen on podcast platforms such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. Just search Amalgamation Nation and follow us on there and leave a nice, kind review and all that good stuff. We appreciate it. And as always, share it with a friend. If you're looking for merch, it's teesprings.com/store/AMNation. I don't know if we got to update that. We might have to do that. I'll do that after the show and I'll look at it. Then, of course, if you want to leave a voicemail or text the show, be a part of it. Maybe you have a question, comment, anything like that. It's 815-556-9089. Just leave a name so I know who it is. It could be a nickname, too. That's cool, too. As always, we stream Tuesdays and Thursdays with Undead Black Bull. It's twitch.tv/Undead Black Bull. Make sure you follow him on there and you give him a sub as well. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub a month. So give it to Undead Black Bull. We're back at it again on Thursday. Pete, have a great time at the draft. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Way to rep the squad out there. Also, we are raising money for St. Jude's, as David mentioned earlier, at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So look for his pinned tweet on Twitter. I'm sure it's at Undead Black Bull, and then ours as well at AM Nation Pod. If we hit the goal of $500 by the end of the month, by the end of May, I will take a pie to the face live on a stream. David will also, of course, take a pie to the face as well. And anybody else who wants to join in, they're more than welcome to do so. So yeah, $500 and we'll do it. So that is the number. We'll see if you do it. I feel like if it happens, like I know earlier, David's like, maybe we'll do it right here tonight. And I feel like when it happens, we'll wait until it's all done. And that would be like the celebration show in June that we could do it. Cause I'm going to have F-bombs and stuff when it gets thrown in my face. So, there's all that good stuff as well. Like I said, everybody, hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy the NFL draft on Thursday. We'll be back for a gaming episode then. Be kind, take care of one another, be safe, and as always, you stay breezy.